I really, really do. I feel like I used to feel, you know?
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
This holiday season, did you visit your crawl space to retrieve the Christmas tree and decorations? Are you one who wouldn't venture down there on a bet? Hi, I'm Roy Spencer from Permaseal, and if you're one of the latter, I can't blame you. We've seen some pretty nasty crawl spaces full of mold, mildew, and crawly things. Certainly not a place to store your family treasures. Well, this year, let Permaseal wrap your crawl space up in our Clean Space encapsulation system. Clean Space will transform your dirty, dark crawl space into a bright, clean, valuable storage area where you can confidently store even your most treasured ornaments and mementos. As a bonus, you'll find you'll have warmer floors and cleaner air upstairs. What a wonderful holiday present for the entire family and a great investment in your home. For a free inspection and estimate, call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net.
Your best for being better, Permaseal.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it is a fit for you.
7:36. Let's get an update on the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with Jim Talamonte.
We have a report of police activity in the area around the Tri-State Tollway near Ridgeland or near the intersection of 95th and Ridgeland to allow room for responders in that area. In Naperville, the ramp from Naperville Road northbound to the eastbound Reagan Tollway is open. It had been closed during the early morning hours due to a major crash. And 53 is open again in Romeoville in the area between Renwick and Airport Road after a crash there. On the inbound Kennedy, traffic is tight now through the Hubbard Tunnel. It's 21 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Inbound Eisenhower, 29 minutes, 390 to the Burn Circle. Stevenson, 28 minutes, 355 to the Drive. Ryan, 15 minutes from 95th. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our AM 560 Weather Center, your forecast, partial sunshine, a high of 43, partly cloudy, breezy overnight, 37. We have mostly sunny skies at the moment, 33 degrees. Your next news is at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, yeah. Sean, what's the name of this song?
I don't care.
What?
I don't pay attention to songs or athletes.
Keep on
I
rolling?
could give a rip. I don't have time for this nonsense. 5,500-page spending bill is a little annoying. I don't care who's singing.
Wow. Good morning. Merry Christmas, bah humbug. Amy Jacobson here. Sean from Elmwood Park in for Dan Proft this morning. But you played high school football, did you not?
Yeah.
And
just
what did
enough
that
to get
teach
a scholarship.
you? Did that build character?
Of course not. I had character long before anybody put a uniform on me.
Oh, so you gave character to your coach, is that what
Character
you're
is something that your family gives you, and you inherently, it's either stoked or it's not. It doesn't come from some dimwit coach screaming from a sideline or moron parents yelling in the bleachers.
I coach, and I believe that I teach my girls and boys to be better human beings, to be good citizens, and to have sportsmanship, and to know what it's like to rip your opponent's head off. Because I like winning. I don't like losing.
Yeah, let me know when one of your athletes carjacks you if it worked.
Oh, you are so rude. All right, well, I'm going to just ignore you this segment and welcome our guest to the program, who's a returning guest, Joe Trost, student-athlete advocate, has been working diligently to try and get the IHSA and the governor's office and everybody, the IDPH, on the same page and trying to get kids back to school and at the very least back to playing sports. Good morning, Joe. How are you?
How are you guys doing?
Good. Well, Sean's not doing well, but I'm fine, thank you.
Doing very well. I'm tanning in between the breaks. I'm doing better than most, but go ahead.
So, Joe, what is the latest with IHSA? And they still plan to play every sport in 2021. I don't know how that's going to happen, but what's the next step?
That's their plan. Some good news. Last Thursday, there was some conversations that started between state officials and members of the IHSA. So obviously, everything's been basically on pause here since early October. Talking with some superintendents over the weekend, there's a very optimistic outlook here going into 2021. Obviously, there were a number of high schools, suburban high schools, that finished out the year. They had been in school, for about 8 straight weeks, no issues. So as one superintendent said to me, it's really a 30, 60, 90-day outlook here. It's hopefully the first 30 days come back, there aren't any surges. And at that point, that's when you're really going to start to see even more people question, the medical and science behind keeping kids off the field, out of classrooms. The biggest hurdle that superintendents see that really IDPH, Jesse Ruiz, and the governor's office, they need to pull back this rule that they have in place where you can only have 50 kids in an area. Because what a lot of these superintendents are saying is it just really handcuffs them in terms of what they can and can't do. So if that's pulled back, open some things up, and obviously everybody wants to get kids back out on the field. First things first, hopefully it's right after break here. Kids are back in school and starting to move in a positive direction.
Well, go, Sean.
I got a question for you. A lot of this reminds me of the drunk driver that blames the light pole for the accident. Isn't this something that we've kind of backed ourselves into, when the reality is we turned over how our children behave, how our activities are scheduled, to a bureaucracy made of fat, necklace slobs who are on the take?
I don't know if I'd go that far. So I'm very in the middle on this. It's the way that I would look at this is you basically, obviously you got 3 parties there. Remember, the IHSA does not exist if there's no sports. There's a huge money piece here for the IHSA. Obviously, they're going to apply for the second PPP. They'll be taking care of there. You've got obviously you got the big political piece. That's what I've been saying about the kids. The kids are kind of stuck in the middle here between 2 divorced parents, and arguing back and forth on what can be done. The IHSA, as much as they want to go out there and talk about being an advocate, for student athletes, there is a massive revenue piece here, and it is basketball and football. Without basketball and football, they do not exist. There's sponsorship pieces. There's everything, from that. And that's where superintendents are furious at the IHSA because they felt like that they threw them out there as a sacrificial lamb with some of this stuff, because the unique thing about the IHSA's makeup is that on their board of directors, there are no superintendents. So some of these decisions that were made have put the schools in a tough spot all the way from a political standpoint. So at the end of the day here, we have to be able to open things up for these kids, because if you look at the bordering states, they're all going there. There aren't massive breakouts. And that's one big piece that you really could go back to May, where you could look throughout the country. Yes, there have been, small breakouts here and there, but
nobody's hospitalized.
Exactly.
No hospitalizations and no reported cases of player to coach transmission from what I've seen. And it's not just bordering states, it's 33 states that have this. So let's walk this back. So the IHSA said that they were, regardless of what Pritzker said, they were going to play basketball in the winter. So where does that stand now?
So it's right now that's, they need to finalize this piece with really Jesse Ruiz and IDPH to figure out what they can and can't do. There should be some more conversations that'll continue here after the holiday. What I anticipate happening here is probably you're going to look the middle of January, where you'll see that kids will be able to start conditioning again with their high school teams, and things will start fully moving February 1st. That puts the IHSA in a position here where they need to figure out what they're going to do with basketball. Are they going to try to jam basketball in as those other sports, right, that are supposed to kick off February 15th, football, all the fall sports got pushed forward? You're not going to have the indoor facilities. So now, again, this is where I keep going back to. The school superintendents are sitting there saying, you're throwing us under a bus because we're the ones that have to deal with all these issues.
Isn't this an opportunity to privatize all of this? Isn't this an opportunity to finally break the monopoly of the bureaucracy?
Yeah, and that's again going back to a conversation I had this weekend. That's the fear here, is that this is actually going to push more kids into private sports, into clubs year round, and really lose that big community around high school sports. Obviously, especially when you look in the low-income neighborhoods, these kids rely on this for exposure opportunities, for recruiting opportunities. They don't have the extra money to go to these major clubs. They don't have the transportation piece to get to these other states to be seen. So there's a lot of different. It's been fascinating. And real quick, let's go back to the fall when the Let Us Play stuff was going on. That was at 3%. 8 states had switched. Things had been moving. That was the opportunity there to go ahead and move some of the sports, which would open up this logjam that they're about to have in February. And that was something I was continuing trying to get out there, from a message standpoint, is that you're going to I'm not going to have time. You're going to be jamming everybody here. And not only that, you're going to be starting sports February 15th, trying to force stuff outside. Kids are going to have physical injuries, and who's going to take care of that stuff?
I can't coach 6 teams. I mean, I can't. Like, there's just, because a lot of the coaches in the fall coach winter sports and spring sports. It's not going to happen. Now, I had heard that Jesse Ruiz regretted not playing football, or at least boys soccer outside and girls volleyball. Is there any truth to that?
That I'm not positive on. I'm sure it's right. It's easy to second guess everything. It's, the one thing, I would much rather be a first guesser, because we can all look back, and we've all learned a lot since, even last May. There was definitely an opportunity to play boys soccer. There was definitely an opportunity to play girls volleyball. One of the biggest questions was, could you play into early December? Well, we all saw the weather in early December, and the weather in December is better than starting February 15th on frozen fields where you don't, and you have to remember, CPS at probably 90% of their schools, they do not have athletic trainers. So now you've got coaches who may not, from a standpoint, who don't have the medical background when a kid's hurt. There's going to be fascinating stories to happen over the next 3 months. And yeah, there's going to be it's a very emotional topic with parents. And that's where it's, especially if a kid is out there and somebody gets hurt, that's where there's going to be, even more finger pointing.
Well, as a CPS, just so you know, I had to go through extensive medical training. No, because, we do have a trainer, thank God, but they still make you go through the training. You've got to pass the test, because it's just because of that fact. So what is the next step?
So the next step is, again, Jesse Ruiz, IDPH, Dr. Ezeki, and the IHSA coming to an agreement on what they feel is safe to move forward.
That's never going to happen.
It's so ridiculous.
I mean, it's like herding cats. When are they going to sit down and actually do the work?
Well, and that's, there was a good step taken last Thursday. Obviously, there had been some broken communication channels after the IHSA decided to go one direction and go against, the recommendation of IDPH. We saw this happen in other states, right? It happened in Michigan. It happened in Pennsylvania. In this case, unfortunately, where the IHSA screwed up, and really the IHSA from a strategic standpoint did not do it right. They didn't line up a press conference with superintendents standing behind them. They went out there and they blindsided a lot of the superintendents, and where you had a divide in the state was the downstate schools, central and southern Illinois, who may not be able to get to the bordering states with club sports. They backed the IHSA. The big high school areas. We're in the Chicago suburbs, and Chicago, you lost CPS right away, and you lost a lot of the suburban schools, and you had this massive disconnect. And that goes right back to the strategic opportunity that the IHSA had in the fall. If there was an opportunity to do it, they should have did that in the fall, but they waited till the revenue piece of basketball, which made them look even worse.
I remember a time when a kid woke up, went outside, played strike 'em out. Around lunchtime, you'd play a pickup game. Around the afternoon, you'd play a little touch football, and then you stop by Mr. Fornarelli's house to get punched in the face in his boxing ring in the garage. And you know what? We didn't give a rip what any two-bit politician, or for that matter, what any of the other parents thought. I remember a time when kids weren't slaves to the state. What this has done is built slaves. Kids are now asking if it's okay to get together and play sports. Over. Put a fork in it.
Well, you have to remember from a school standpoint, again, going back to, I keep talking about this divide. It's the state controls the funding for the schools. And that's, and there's a lot of politics that goes into that. So that's the challenge there. Again, you've got the key pieces, state government, IHSA, state superintendents, and here are the kids on the sidelines looking at all the adults and say, can't you figure this out? And it's now going on 6 months here. Obviously, the mitigations have worked. We've seen the numbers go down. So hopefully here, after the first of the year, there's some positive news, and these kids get back out there. I think the one final thing I would say here, while it is going to be interesting to see how everything gets jammed in here, you got to be able to praise the IHSA and the school superintendents from this standpoint is that they haven't said that they're going to cancel anything. So there's still opportunities for these kids. Unfortunately, they're probably going to drag into the summer.
Great. All right. Thanks, Joe. No, I appreciate your expertise.
Can I parlay any of this? Can I bet against any of this?
No. All right, Joe. Trost.
Yeah, it's a moving target, right? And hopefully it's this fluid situation comes to an end, and in a month here we're focusing on what we should be, the kids back out on the courts, back out on the fields.
All right, thanks, Joe Trost, student athlete advocate, good friend of the show. Thank you so much for your expertise and your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Guys, have a good holiday.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Dan Proft.
And I'm Amy Jacobson. And if you're a small business owner or you make the marketing or advertising decisions for a business, then listen up. Once again, our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway to raise money to feed families in Latin America who are suffering because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our friends at Food for the Poor are working with partners on the ground at feeding centers to provide emergency food relief. And here's how your business can be part of the solution.
Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 will give you 40 60-second commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday to Friday at no additional cost to you.
To take advantage of this deal, just call Anjanette Natowski, 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951, or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Guys, prioritizing your health now is more important than ever, not only to build your immune system, but to address any chronic health issues you may have. I recommend Low T Center. They exclusively specialize in men's wellness and follow strict medical guidelines for your health and safety. They are one of the leading men's medical providers in the country. Low T Center has reinvented the doctor's visit, making it quick and easy to get